Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Pramod Pandey, and here we begin our another lecture where we will be talking about the content of the very first part that we do have, and here we will be talking about the business, politics, and legal system. Till now, we just discussed about what is the theme line, what is the one line that is across all of the three things: the business, politics, and legal system, and how they can have how they would be having an influence over the society as a whole. While discussing the area that is an A1 AD. So this is something you can ignore for the timing. Ultimately, you have to just learn the concept. Do not get confused by this because I have not bifurcated the syllabus according to this. I have just given the numbers, or better, if I would call them, I have just given just like an ABC. So these are the all the things that we have to follow, and we will be keeping ourselves in line of following this sequence only. Okay. Essential element of the legal system. When we talk about the syllabus area 8, so we will be talking about the essential element of the legal system. We were having a discussion about this thing last day, and we come to know that essential is something very necessary, right? Something very necessary. Element means something, the parts or the step in a process. Okay? Legally something that is in accordance with law. And system represent a framework. So can I say we will be learning about some necessary part or the step in a process that will be talking about, or that will be from the perspective or from the legal framework or the law framework. So we will be learning about some of the important parts, some of the essential element from the law framework. So is that okay if I do say this?
Yes, sir.
Now we were having discussion about this thing, the business, politics, and legal system. So there are some areas they basically giving you the guidance like how the question paper would be there and what are the important areas that you have to be on. If I say that you have to explain the interrelationship of the economical, political, legal system, this is something I asked you, and you guys are very clear on the point. So they won't be asking us that what is the difference between the three. They will be giving us a way where we might have a differentiation. So it could come in your section A as a question where they might be giving you this statement and they will directly asking you. Following is the interrelationship of the economical, political, legal system, and then you might have to answer this, right? It could possible that a question on this statement can come, Hana?
Yes.
So while reading and approaching the syllabus area, I want you to think about like which the portion that we are on to, where it can fit in the exam. Either it can be go into the theoretical portion, either it can go to the scenario of the section 1, or either it will be going to the section B. So just give yourself a brainstorm. Have some brainstorming. I think that will help you later on. Then second it says that explain the doctrine of the separation of the power and impact of the legal system. Because ultimately, when I say about the legal system, so this is the law framework, right? How the law works into a concerned department or into the concerned society. So law is basically something that will be influenced by the power. Like what is the power of the individual or what is the power of the people that are among the society. So one thing to note about here is that if you're giving too much power to one individual, so he would be having the right to misuse that. Okay, he can misuse the power. So there is a requirement to divide the power into authorities into different authorities. So the law, which is very important thing, which is again not just an important thing, but something need to be taken care of. If that divided across the different peoples, that will ensure that the rules and regulation or the right and authority which has been given to the different authorities are going to be followed accordingly or at the whole interest or basically at the interest of the society people, right? Or the society populations. So there is a requirement for the separation of the power. So if there is in power, for example, some you will see that Some peoples are making law. Now, if these people are making law, if the task has been assigned to them to apply the law and then check, or basically into check and administrate. So there are the different rules. For an example, if there is a law which need to be applied, so what are the process that it has to follow? First, the law will be made. Huh? Second thing, the law will be applied. Third thing that will be happening is going to be the administration of the law. If all of these three things are going to be assigned to one party or one member of the individual, or basically if that all of these three things goes to one people, in that case he would be having his own preference which path they will be using at first, and there might be the possibility of doing something wrong. So this is basically the concept of segregation of duties. So this is something you will be learning in your audit and assurance paper. Segregation of duties and power. So the power which is there need to be divided across the people which are there. This will ensure that the power is getting used according to the requirement, and the possibility of misusing the power is very minimum or very low. Okay. Next, the third thing that we will be learning about the distinction between the criminal law and civil law. One of the important area, you will be having a one question or two question from this, no matter what, whether it will be in your section A or B, but you will be having some question from the same. And this is altogether important area. I can say the possibilities are 50-50 over here, but these two things will be there definitely in your paper. Okay. Outline the operation of the following legal system, just for your knowledge perspective. You will be having a one question from this, at least one question. It could possible that 2 or 3 questions can come up from there asking the definite concept. Are you clear on the things like what are the syllabus area, what is the portion that we're going to cover on?
Yes, sir.
Siddhant, are you there, brother?
Yes, sir.
Then if I say about the doctrine, in that case, if I ask you about doctrine, so basically this is dictionary. So if you go to the Google and search about the doctrine, so this is basically the book of the dictionary that talks about the reliefs, the beliefs, or the rules which are made. So whenever you will learn about something, the doctrine next in your book or the presentation or in the lecture, so you have to understand that this is basically talking about the dictionary that talks about the reliefs and beliefs. Okay. If I start from here, the purpose of the entire paper is to make you well informed about the varied international legalities and business environment around the globe, with the purpose of making you well equipped to operate in any business environment. Something similar that we have discussed last day, that this paper will not be requiring you to become the lawyer, but ultimately they will be asking you to know something about the international legalities, and then they further ask you about to have a basic understanding of how the law will be around the business environment. Because ultimately we were having a very vocal about that the trade, the international transactions. So if those international transactions are happening, so there has a possibility of the business environment. Guys, if I ask you one question, would it be okay to answer to me? Something not relevant to your law paper, but I wanted to know. When I say the business, so there is one word hidden in itself. What is that? Would you like to try on that? Hello?
I don't know,
Yes.
sir.
So basically, the business that whenever you read, so what is the first thing that click in your head? Profit. Okay. Probably you will be learning the some portion of it in your law paper as well. So there another thing, if I say the organization. Now the organization can be two, the non-profit organization and profit organization, right? So when you talk about the NGO, so there is a no perspective of learning or thinking about the profit, right? But whenever you talk about the business and into the business, when you talk about the organization that deals with business oriented, or when the business or the organization which basically deals about the profit organizations are known as in the business organizations, right? Yes or no? So there's an objective of earning the profit. Now, after understanding the same concern, if I ask you that there are different international transactions are happening, and on those transactions, the applicabilities of the World Trade Organization. So can you think that there is a non-profit organization transactions, and there the World Trade Organization or other international laws will become applicable? Do you think so? Hello?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So basically, when I say the business environment, the law, international law that we are studying. Hello, guys, are you there?
Yes. Yes, sir.
The international
Yes,
law that we are
sir.
going to study, the international law, the international payment. So they will be talking about the business environment. Yes or no?
Yes.
Whether you are making any transactions, or if over that transaction, if the World Trade Organization would be having some influence, if they would be, if as a company of one country, if we are having a transaction with another company, in that case, we have to follow the rule and regulation of the World Trade Organization or other regulations, right? So those are applicable or highly applicable on the business environment. Yes or no? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, my question to you is that the discussion that we were having, that non-profit organization, the organization which basically do not deal with the organization which do not deal with the profit orientation, or they basically are there to serve the society. So would that be the portion of that will be going to be affected by the international law, the payment of the law? Huh?
Mhm.
Hmm? Hello. The organization which do not deal with the profit orientations, would they be having impact from the World Trade Organizations? Any organization which basically talks about how the international transaction is taking place within profit or organizations. So the rules and regulations that we're going to study, such as this one, the B, C, D, all this will be talking about the profit making organization. Okay. Hello, guys, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
How
sir.
the international payment will be making, what is an international contract and what will be the international law. So the understanding of the BCD will be from the perspective of the profit making organizations. This is something different what you will be thinking when it is in non-profit organization. So this is something to make a differentiation between the rules and regulations that we're going to study will be having a business, will be around the business environment. Okay. Now, would it be okay if I ask you to read this sentence again? This one. Anyone of you, please.
The purpose of the entire paper is to make you well informed about varied international legalities and business environments around the globe, with the purpose of making you well equipped to operate in any business environment.
So we will be talking about the varied international legalities and the business environment around the globe with the purpose of making you well equipped to operate any business environment. So they have been very vocal about the business environment, right? Again and again, over again and again. Hana? So are you
Yes.
able to understand why they are writing this business environment again and again? The discussion that we currently had about that, what we have to think about, that we have to think about the organization who is into the profit making. Okay, are you clear on this point, Siddhant?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Now we will move ahead. This chapter makes you aware of the different type of judicial, economical, governmental structure. So this was about the paper. Okay, this was about the paper. This paragraph will be talking about what you will be learning from the chapter. It's inside the chapter. So this chapter makes you aware of the different types of the law, different types of the judicial, economical, and the government structures around the world. This topic are frequently tested in the exam in the form of the practical scenario. Hence, understanding the concept and the differences vital. Vital means something important. Okay. If there would be any word that you think, okay, something that we want a discussion about, because I will be thinking that you would be having a better understanding for what does equip mean, what does the legalities mean. So if there are certain things, or if there is a word, a specific word that you are unclear with, please do let me know. We can have a discussion that. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when I do say the interrelations between the economical and the political and legal system, that first thing that we discuss in the class, now we will look around that. So country, political, economical refer to its political, economical, and the legal systems, right? The company's political economy refers to its political, economic, and legal system. These systems are interdependent and interact and influence each other. The political and economical system of a country will be influenced by its legal system and will have an implication for the practice of the international business. I think you guys have explained this to me prior and only. You have been very vocal about this, that the political and economical system will be having influence over the what are the laws which are there. But ultimately, we do not have to forget that the laws are itself made by the politics or the government which is in power, right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Now we will be moving ahead and just look around the difference between the three, because this could come in the paper. Huh? So they are the different type of how and by whom and for whom wealth is created in the country. They are the three main types that you will be learning: the planned, market, and mixed. Right. So these are the three type of the economy that we will be learning about: the planned economy, the market economy, and mixed economy. Something here from your economics of 12th paper, right?
Yes.
I think this is something we have understood, but still we'll look around that. So allocation of the national resources are made by the government. The government owns and manages major business. So as the plan suggests that it is on the side, or majorly it is going to be in the hand of the government. So whatever the nature resources we do have, the limited nature resources, the allocation means which industry will be having the portion. For an example, I do basically there is a government XYZ, okay? The government would be having some securities, they will be having some police, they will be having some limited resources, right? The natural resources and some other type of resources, but they would be having the limited resources. So how the allocation means giving or allocating the resources to the work, different work. For example, government has allocated some of the resources to the railway department, because in India the railway is going to be railway is basically managed by the government, right? Some resources are allocated to the defense system, some department are allocated to the looking after the property or some individuals, right? So whatever the resources government basically allocate, even the fund or even the resources, the natural resources or the employee, whatever they do have, they basically allocate them to the different set of the activities that are controlled or managed by the government. So this is what the plan. Why it is a plan? Can you be able to think? Because at the start of each year, government basically plan what resources they will be allocating to each of the department, each of the different activities that are going to be controlled by them. So don't you think so that this is a planned move that is going to be taken care of, huh? This is basically the plan step that government is taking into. So what we can understand that it is an allocation of the national resources which are going to be made by the government. The government owns and manages the major business. It could possible that there are some small business owners, but ultimately what you have to think that the major businesses are going to be covered by or controlled by or managed by the government. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
This would be incorporating the socialist countries like China and Russia. Okay. Then second
sir.
comes market based. Second comes market based. Now you know that in the market there are the two things that comes as in the demand and supply, right? So allocation of resources is divided by the market factors, demand and supply. The private individuals runs business. Prices are set on the basis of how much people are willing to pay for and how much people are willing to save for it. So this is something all depend on the market. Like what is the force in the market? What is the supply requirement in the market? What is the demand requirement in the market? All those things will be defining a price, considering what the buyer is willing to pay, the seller is willing to sell for, right? Everything when it will be considered according to the what is the market force, what is the demand and supply, then this will be an example of the market economy. Okay. Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir.
It could possible that government would be having some influence over the same thing, but this will be minimal over here. Okay. Just to clear on you that the thing that we are learning is about the three different economical systems. So what are the type of the economy are there, right? The type of the economy. So there are the three type of the economy: the plant, mixed, market. Now, when you know about the plant and market, so what can be the mixed? Any suggestion, any input that you would like to put on?
India?
I want you to know if so. Basically, we had two: the plant and market. There is one more that is known as a mixed. Mixed. So, what is your take on this? So the mixed economy, it is basically the mixture of the both the above type, where there is a suitable balance between the public and the private based on the condition of the country. So when I would be saying that the government would be there, and plus the private individuals would be there. So both are there, and they basically managing on the 50 to 50%, 45 to say 45 to 55%. This is basically depending on which sector that they're the different sector. For example, there are like 100 sectors. It could be that 52 are going to be managed by the government, 48 are going to be managed by the private sectors. So when I would be saying about the mixed economy, so this will be having the influence of both the government and the private individuals. When I talk about the market economy, market will be, as the name suggests, it will be solely based on the what is the demand and supply, what the buyer is going to willing to pay, and what the seller is going to sell for. Okay. And the last thing that we have been through is about the plant economy. That plant economy and the plant economy is basically more on the side of the government. Okay. There could be they could be having a possibility that in the plant economy there will be some private individual, but that is a small portion of it. Okay. In the mixed economy, almost each country has a mixed economy. A dominance of the public or the private may make them appear to be planned or market. What is the dominance over here? Dominance basically influence or the power of one party. Okay. So Samit, when I was saying that there are some legal concept, legal words which you need to know, you have to be good on the law vocabulary. So this is one of the word as an example you must look forward to. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Is there anything that you want to know from or till we have had a discussion about? Like we have been through what is an interaction between the three and how all of these three would be having an impact for this portion, like economical, political, how they will be having influence. and then what are the 3 kilometer systems. So I think we are less than 1 minute now. I will be joining back at 10:45. Is that okay? And
Okay,
then we
sir.
will move ahead. Siddhant, are you there?
Yes.
Sure. Done. So I will be joining back